Hello, it's Phil Crowshaw here again, and very warm welcome to another edition of Friday Live. And this is holiday week this week, and I actually have been on holiday, which has been absolutely mega. I'm not going to lie, it has been amazing. 4 days, just under 4 days over on the east coast of Yorkshire. Those of you that follow me on social media may have seen a few pictures. I'd like to say, in all honesty, that I don't put too many pictures online. I know it's each to their own, but I know some people, it's like every 2 minutes, here's a photograph of a pigeon. Here's a photograph of a clock tower. Here's a, it can get a little bit, much, I have to say. But then, each to their own. Other people will disagree. They love that kind of thing, and I never, ever try and say that everything that I say and do is the way it should be. It definitely is not the case. It's just my perspective, as they say, through my lens. And one of the problems that's been thrown up as a result of me being away on holiday in East Yorkshire, by the way, the weather was amazing. Shall I just be really irritate everybody? The weather was fantastic because you see, those of you interested in weather patterns, the weather was coming up from the west. So by the time it got to the east coast around Whitby and that area, which is where we were staying, it pretty much burnt out, really. And it only really rained once. I know you're all interested in this, and you all tune in just to hear my weather forecasts. And the reason why it was like that was because these weather fronts were moving through to the east coast, and therefore they burnt out. But then the one time it rained, as I was going to say, the one time it rained was actually a thunderstorm. Me and my wife love thunderstorms. I don't know if you're the same. I don't know if you feel the same way about it, but we absolutely love thunderstorms. Anyway, this is Friday Live. I've not got a guest this week, but I've got one or two clips I want to show you anyway. Because I wasn't sure when I'd be back, so I didn't want to say yes, Mike, arrange a guest and then suddenly I'd have to let them down last minute if we decided to stay over the East Coast for a little bit longer. As I was saying, one of the problems that we experienced whilst we were over there was that I take a lot of camera equipment with me, which might not surprise you because all my clients, I work with clients on digital media strategies, podcasts, set up podcast, easy for me to say, setting up podcasts and video podcasts and live streams and all that. I work a lot with that with clients as well these days, as well as, of course, business development and business growth. And so I take a lot of camera equipment with me, and this is absolutely true. With the place we stayed, a cottage, like an old fisherman's cottage, and we had to walk up from the car to take the bags to this cottage that was up on the hillside. Well, my wife had a bag that was probably about this big, as you do for a few nights away. And I then had a bag this big with my clothes and spare shoes in it and a spare coat and such like. And then I had another number of bags with me, 5 to be precise. And all they had in them was cameras, microphones, kit, you name it, I had it with me because I wanted to practice with it and play with it and test it. And this was a chance for me to be away from the day job, if you like, for a few days. So that's what I did. But one of the problems is I took with me my what's called a DSLR camera, which is a Canon 80D by chance. And that's the Canon 80D is the camera that I sometimes use for live streaming on. And I took it with me, and I was changing all the settings and everything, and trying different settings, trying different light settings, changing the various controls in the camera, and then I popped it in the socket, as it were, to do this live stream. And sure enough, I'd changed all the settings, and it was absolutely terrible. And I didn't have time then to actually change it back. So as a result, I'm sorry. I know people won't mind. It won't give a monkeys, actually. But I'm actually live streaming this on my Logitech 922. There you go. For those techie geeks around. It's a Logitech 922 webcam. You don't get the blurry background, as you can see, for those of you who have watched me before, but it's perfectly adequate. The reason I mention it, actually, is because, you know, that whole thing about do as I say, not as I do. I always, when I'm talking to clients about live streaming, I always say to them, make sure you plan in advance and make sure you've got all the tech set up so that when you go live, everything's working as it should. I didn't fully check the camera, so I'm guilty as charged, but I learnt my lesson. On the upside, I always say to clients, have a plan B. If you're going to get clever with cameras, have a plan B. So my plan B was having this 922 Logitech webcam at the side of me here, just in case I had a problem with the camera. So I was able to swap it over, and it didn't take long, and we still managed to go live on time. So that's it. Now, I'm just going to give people a chance to get in, because I know it sometimes takes a while for people to come in, not too long. But as a result, I always tend to play this intro, and I'm always one for the dramatic, as some of you might know. So this is the intro. This will just give us a minute to get ready and get people in for this Friday live stream today. Here we go. So there you go. That's a bit of drama to get us going on this Friday live show. Now, I know on this particular show, sometimes people will suggest to people who might want to become a client of mine that they watch the live stream, the live stream on Fridays, just to get a feel for who I am and what I'm about. Now, I always talk, don't I, about Jeopardy of live stream. And that's what actually is something that makes it more exciting. So it's one of those things where I always say anything could go wrong. Absolutely anything could go wrong. You know that the tech, in fact, like the camera not working 2 seconds before you go live, but all sorts of other things can happen. And it's what I call Jeopardy. Now, there's a bigger Jeopardy today then. So I know that a few people watching are actually going to checking me out in terms of possibly using me as a coach and a consultant in their businesses. And as a result, that's an extra level of Jeopardy, because they might watch this and think, who's this blithering idiot? And suddenly your calls are not being returned, or your emails are not being returned. That's always a risk, but that's just the way it goes. So a very warm welcome to those of you that are on this live stream and are watching this just as a result of checking me out, if you like, just before you start working with me. And hopefully you won't be too put off. So as I said, not this week. I'm not actually got a guest on this week because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. But the first thing I want to talk about or mention about is the thing that you see ticker taping along the bottom of the screen, okay, right now, which says question. What is your favorite inspirational music track? Or favorites, doesn't have to be one, but what is your favorite inspirational music track? And it might be that you've had different favorites over many years for different reasons. And I sometimes think it's about things like tracks that inspire you to change, or inspire you in the area of love. Maybe they inspire you to tell somebody that you've cared about a long time that you actually love them. Maybe it's something that inspires you when you're running. You listen to it in your AirPods and or your your Walkman. That's a joke, by the way, for those of you that are older. You'll recognize the words Walkman. Those of you that are younger haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. But you're listening to it when you're running, and just you hear that song, that track, and suddenly you run a bit faster. It gives you that extra bit of energy, or it just inspires you to achieve things. And there's a reason I'm asking this, is because I'm working on a project at the moment that involves inspirational tracks, obviously, which is kind of why I'm asking the question. And I've been thinking about it a lot myself, and this will be coming in probably in June now with the time constraints I've got at the moment. But in June, I'll be launching something new which involves inspirational music and inspirational chat. So I'm looking for those sorts of tracks that inspire people, or to achieve more, or to run faster, or to swim faster in this day and age, or to ride faster if they're obviously on a horse or a bike or whatever. They just inspire you. And have a think about it. If you have got them, there's two ways you can let me know. Well, there's a number of ways you can let me know, obviously. You can send me, put it in the comments below and just write the name of the track and the band. And if you want to mention why it inspires you, that's fine, of course, as well. And I'll mention one or two that I've been thinking of as well. And because music has a massive impact. I mean, we talk a lot in Geeky Group and the Passions Project, my other company. We talk a lot about inspiration, insight, ideas. And we run a number of programs of which under the brand of Getting to Wow. And I've mentioned this before, so I'm not going to go into it again, but it's almost that whole area of wow. What might help you get to wow? What might inspire you music wise that might get you to wow, or got you to wow, that track? So let me give you an example then of what I'm talking about for me personally. Back in the mid-90s, I had a good job, a job I enjoyed. But I'd always had this desire to go traveling. And I missed out on the chance when I was younger, when I left college, because I just wanted to work and I was keen to get to work and earn money so I could afford a new motorbike. I know, I was shallow, I admit it. So I decided that I'd do that rather than go to uni. So I missed out on the opportunity, and an opportunity came along, long story short, in the mid-90s for me to jack in my job. Mother was delighted. Jack in my job and disappear around the world. And I was umming and ahhing, as you would really, because I enjoyed my work, I enjoyed my job, but it was just one of those, they talk about it, don't they, in context of I needed it to scratch the itch. They talk about it as, don't they? So long story short, I did actually give up my job, and I did actually travel the world for just under a year. Went to some incredible places, met some incredible people, learned an incredible amount, and read some amazing books that I would never have read if I hadn't created the time to travel the world in that way. One slightly interesting side note there is that I actually went to a place in Indonesia, some islands in Indonesia called the Gili Islands. And you can look them up. You'll see I'm not making it up. And the Gili Islands really, truly were that paradise away from everything. It was I think it was from Bali to Lombok, another island, by ferry, about 5 hours. And then we had to get on this little boat. And I'm not kidding you. It was probably about 8 foot long. And it took us out to these little islands. Well, the first one we went to was called Gili Air. And what I think is interesting about that is that when I got to Gili Air, there was one generator producing electricity on this island. And that was the only way that anybody could do anything electrical, was through this one big, huge generator on the island. And the reason I'm telling this story is fairly recently, I actually saw a post from somebody, and they were sat on the same island, and they were tweeting and said they'd just come off WhatsApp doing a video call with their mum and dad at home. And I thought how things have changed. You know, that at that time it was far away from anywhere, really was remote. And then nowadays, with the connected internet world we now live in, people are now able to do FaceTime or WhatsApp video calls from the beach of Gilead. And that I just thought was remarkable. And it just shows you, very much how the world has changed. So the reason I mention it is because when I was umming and ahhing about whether to go or not, I was listening to, I don't know if it's the radio, I can't remember. It must have been the radio, I guess. And I was driving along. And all of a sudden a track came on. And I remember it being the track that made my decision kind of for me. And the track was a track called Breakout by Swing Out Sister. And that was in the 90s, for those of you that maybe remember it, for those of you old enough to remember it. And it was called Breakout by Swing Out Sister. You can listen to it if you're really intrigued, obviously on Spotify nowadays, or on YouTube. It'll probably find it on YouTube as well. And I heard that track. Now, unfortunately, I can't play these tracks on here because of copyright. So, I'll probably get closed down, thrown into prison. Some people might say that's a good thing, especially after doing this show. But I listened to this track, Breakout by Swing Out Sister, and it just gave me that inspiration. And obviously you can tell from the title that it's about, it's about breaking out, breaking away, making that move. And I listened to it, and that was the reason I went traveling. That one song pushed me over the edge, tipped me over the edge. And quite often that's all it takes. It could be a chat with somebody. It could be a conversation with somebody that tips you on to making a change or taking action. And that was the thing that I did. And I remember that. I just remember that very, very well. So Breakout by Swing Out Sister. When I was jotting down a few tracks that I'm going to use when I do this project, inspirational songs, which I will be able to do because there's a way I can do it without being in a copyright situation, which I'll leave at that. And when I actually was thinking about it, one of the other tracks that has inspired me personally is Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Now, I am a Tears for Fears fan. I am guilty as charged. But that's a great song. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And it's almost that feeling of, I can do it. Yeah. I want to get there. I want to make it. I want to make that move. I want to achieve that thing that I want to achieve. So if you've got any songs that you can think of that have the same impact on you, please do pop them in the comments. Alternatively, you can obviously message me on LinkedIn. You see the name there, Phil Crowshaw. There's not many Phil Crowshaws around, I don't think. So it's not like I'm called David Smith, which might be a bit more of a challenge. So you will find me. If you can't find me in this day and age with a name like that, then you really, really don't really want to find me. So that's that. So that's the question of the day. So what I'll do is there is some music I can play, and I'll explain why in a sec. But basically, something that some of you may be aware of is that I'm involved in a business and a YouTube channel called The Passions Project. And the Passions Project that I started just last year during lockdown with a good friend of mine, Spencer Phillips. And we interview people about their passions. So it's the clues in the title of the company and the title of the YouTube channel. It's called Passions. And we've started to change or add other formats to the show. It started off as just interviews, as you do, just to kind of get the feel for the whole thing. And then we started to interview people about their passions, including things like music. So it makes absolute sense, therefore, to be able to interview people and then maybe play some of their music with their permission. And we've done this a couple of times, and it's gone down really, really well. It's been really successful, and we're very pleased about that. And on the back of that, we're also now going to start to do panel shows as well. So panel shows where we'll have 2, 3, or 4 people with a passion, and we will debate and discuss that passion with a particular reference to something specific that they're passionate about within their passion. Okay, so let's say, for example, say to this discussion we talk about to a lot of people about conservation, and it might be that we talk to a group of scientists who are particularly passionate about climate change, just an example, and we will talk to them and have a debate and a discussion about climate change and some of the challenges that are faced in climate change and everything in between. So that's an example. So the first track I'm going to play you is by a fantastic guest we had on called Tom Seals. And you can see the whole interview on the Passions Project on YouTube, as I said. And Tom is just a force of nature, basically. He lives not too far from me. I'm in Manchester. He's in Crewe, not too far up the road in Cheshire. And is really an amazing pianist, and he's an amazing performer. And coincidentally, and this was a total coincidence, one of the songs that he had done a new arrangement of was a song that has inspired me in the past. So I thought, well, I've got to choose that for him to play. And he did actually play that track. So this song that he plays now is a different arrangement than the original. And I think it's really great arrangement. I'll explain once I've played it. I'll explain how exactly it inspired me, shall we say, back in the day. So this is Tom Seals with a track that you may know called Can't Get Enough.
When I'm with you, baby, I go out of my head, and I just can't get enough, and I just can't get enough. All the things you do to me and everything you said, because I just can't get enough. We slip and slide as we fall in love, and it just can't seem to get enough of. Oh, just can't get enough. We walk together, walking down the street. Just can't get enough, I just can't get enough. Every time I think of you, I know we have to meet. Just can't get enough, just can't get enough. It's getting harder and it's burning low, and I just can't seem to get enough of. Oh, I just can't get enough. Oh, and I just can't get enough. Just can't get enough. All the things you do to me and everything you said, and I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. We slip and slide as we fall in love, and I just can't seem to get enough of. Oh, I just can't get enough.
Wow. How fantastic is that? Yeah, just can't get enough by the one and only Depeche Mode. And the reason why that was such an inspirational song for me personally was because on the back of that song, I bought my first synthesizer. And again, for those of you of a certain age will recall that back then Depeche Mode, along with a few other bands like Duran Duran, I think were obviously quite inspirational in that arena. Soft Cell and numerous others, New Order, perhaps a bit later. But yeah, I bought my first synthesizer, and I've mentioned this before, I think, but one of the reasons why I was so amazed and loved synthesizers as much as I did was because the amount of work involved in learning the violin, not to mention obviously all your fingers got completely damaged. Guitar's another one where you have to press and practice for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I've seen this mentioned actually on TV by a number of quite famous artists, Howard Jones, people like that, who got into keyboards because one of the main reasons being you could actually make decent sounding music without having to actually practice 10 hours a day for 15 years to be any good at it. And I just love that. And because as an individual, I like variety as well. And I've always said this, I like variety in my work as well, as I've said to a number of people know that. That's why I do different things, like suddenly start live streaming, because it's just different, it's new, it's a bit special. So that is Tom Seals. As I say, you'll see the whole interview and another track that we played as well on the Passions project. So I hope you enjoy that. One of the questions that I was asked recently in an interview was, I mean, because it was, I mentioned, it came up in a conversation I had with somebody, and I mentioned that I'd interviewed 624 people, and that's going up all the time, obviously. 624 people in the last 18 years, from politics, from sport, from business, from entertainment, about their journey. So about their passions, in some cases, about their success, about the things they'd done, the things they'd not done, the mistakes they'd made, and everything in between. Because as I've said before on this show, I'm naturally a very curious person. And interviewing people, and this is a tip for everybody watching this really, is that interviewing people is a wonderful way of researching. So think of it in context of what your business is. Think of it in terms of what you're providing in your business. Who could you interview through a video or a podcast who would help you get across your point, help you get across your key messages, trying to get across how different you are in your market. And also remember, you could interview people who are customers. It doesn't have to be necessarily suppliers or partners or staff. It could even be customers. You know, there's nothing more powerful than an interview with somebody who's saying to people or saying to you on camera why they loved your business, why they chose your business. And in some cases, and I can assure you this is true, probably 80-20 rule, I would say, 20% of people that you ask will want to do it or be open to the idea of doing it because they're show-offs, or they've got that, that kind of thing in their mind and heart that they really probably wanted to be Holly Willoughby or Eamon Holmes, or a TV presenter when they were kids, but it never came about, or they never got the chance. And it's kind of what do we call it? Almost like an ambition that never came to fruition. And they're the sorts of people who actually they might not love it, as in it makes them nervous, but they still love it, if that makes sense. And I did actually interview somebody on the Passions project who said his passion was showing off. And you can't beat that. Honesty, self awareness, big things in my view in life and the universe, as I've said many times before. So they asked me about some of the key things that I'd identified and come across, I guess you could say, and things that I had concluded as a result of all those interviews, which is quite tricky because, as you can imagine, that's an awful lot of interviews and people with so many different backgrounds and such like. So I actually put together a list of what I call an A to Z. Because I always think A to Zs are a great way of pulling together key elements of a wider, bigger topic. So in Geeky Group and Getting to Wow, we always talk about the A to Z of live streaming, the A to Z of business development, the A to Z of, because people can usually relate to those quite easily, and it's structured and organized in a logical way. So I whipped down a few things before I did this interview about these interviews. That's a bit strange, and just thought I'd pull out a few for you today as examples. So the first one I had for A was action rules okay, and what I found was that all these people who achieve things, who have a passion and achieve things, they take action, and they take massive action as well, rather than just talk about it. And I always congratulate people straight away when they take action, when they've taken action. So even when I work with clients, probably one of the first things I'll say is congratulations for getting this far, because a lot of people talk about it, scribble it down, make a few plans, dream about it, and then never take the necessary action to make it happen. And those are choices at the end of the day. It's not right or wrong. So action key. Believing in yourself, we sometimes is the next one. B, believing in yourself enough. So it's not always about having top confidence and, that you can do anything, get on stage and do a complete and utter rendition of Can't Get Enough by Depeche Mode, or even go live streaming like this. It may be that that's not for you, or you're not ready for that yet. Each to their own and all that kind of thing. But believing in yourself really is about telling the little voice in your head to shut up. I could have sworn then, but I didn't, because I'm a good boy. But it's about telling that voice, recognizing the voice, and then saying, right, yeah, I recognize that voice. That's self-doubt. Shut up. I'm not taking any notice of you. In simple terms. C is communicate well and often. Communication, very often the thing that employees will say is the biggest problem in the company. When you do surveys, a significant number of companies, staff or employees, when they say name the main problems, they'll talk about communication being the main problem, which is in a way kind of a bit unforgivable nowadays, because there's so many different ways to communicate. Maybe that's part of the problem. So many different ways to communicate. And then there's others which I won't go through them all. But another one that seemed to be key, and this has particularly been relevant in the last 6 and 7 months while we've been doing the Passions Project. Figure out your passion. Figure out that, are you passionate enough about it? Are you passionate enough about taking it on that will make you motivated enough to keep going when times get tough? And without any exception, every single person that I interviewed have had tough times of some kind. And obviously the older people the more tough times they've had, because that's just the normal statistical probability. Hire the right people was another one. Hire the right people. Something that I do, again, I believe very strongly in. Take your time in hiring, because we do live in an age where once you've got people working for you, it can be quite a challenge to actually, people kind of get a little bit iffy when I say this, but get rid of, and I don't mean it in a cynical sense, but I just have a belief that you can't carry passengers in a small business in 2021. You just haven't got the luxury. That's the word I'm going to use. You just haven't got the luxury to do that. So think about that as well. Let's see, what else did I have on the list? Just bear with me a second, pull it back up again. Yeah, L was learn. You can't learn enough. You can never get enough learning. Everything's changing so fast as well. And the digital space that I'm in, of course, or part of what we do, digital media, it's changing all the time. There's new apps, there's new technologies. People, people have asked me recently, we use StreamYard for live streaming. Is live streaming on StreamYard the best option? And I think it probably is. But you know what? There's a number of others, and there's more new ones coming in all the time that will probably have more features, cost less to use. So it's an ever evolving scenario. So there's that. Take risks. The people that tend to succeed most are those that take risks, and there's massive risks and the small risks. I also had on here for you understanding your influencees, and I don't even know if that's actually technically that's maybe not a word, influencees, but I've just created it now. And what I mean by that is there are going to be people that you need to influence in order to get what you want and get where you need to go. Okay, so if you're in a business, you need to influence people to want to work with you. You have to influence people, and I don't mean manipulate. So there's a big difference. You have to influence people to know, like, and trust you enough to want to work with you. It really isn't any more complicated than that. So I always say to clients when I'm working with clients, and for those of you that are watching this, that possibly I will be working, if I haven't put you off already, that possibly working with, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. How well do you really know your target market? So that's the obvious one. But then influencees could be stakeholders, it could be financiers, it could be, but understanding how those people tick and what makes them, what their needs are and wants are and drives are and passions are, is critical to achieve that. So understanding your influencees is obviously a major area. And then I suppose just finally, I always say work ethic will make you or even break you. So, you've got to have a strong work ethic and be prepared to do what it takes and put the work in if you want to achieve great success and fulfillment in your life. Now, of course, how much of that you put in depends on the size of the ambition, doesn't it? If you think about that logically, if you want to be a multi-millionaire, you're going to have to take on a lot more effort, work a lot more hours. If it's just about something about making a living from something you enjoy and something you're passionate about, just to basically pay the bills, then obviously you're not going to have to necessarily put the same level of risk in, the same level of focus in, the same number of hours in. So everything's relative in those sorts of scenarios. Okay, so hopefully that's given you some ideas. As I say, we go into those in a lot more detail when we run the Getting to Wow coaching programs with people and with clients. So next music I want to play is from another interview we did on the Passions Project with Sasuke Griffith Moore. And Saskia's done some amazing stuff, particularly during lockdown. She's been like one of those people that's been very frustrated with lockdown because she's not been able to play. She's a musician and a singer, and obviously she's been significantly curtailed by the coronavirus that we all know, but only too well now. Excuse me. And of course, now, just as we're recording this at 20 to 4 on the 14th of May, we've now got rumours of Indian variants kicking in, and everybody's getting a bit bit wobbly and nervous about the Indian variant now as well. So all those sorts of things have an impact. So Saskia came on the Passions Project show. And what was different about Saskia's interview is that she actually did a live performance there and then for us from her kitchen, living room, bathroom. I'm not quite sure where she was, but it was an absolutely fantastic thing. And she did actually give us a video clip, which I'm not showing because I've not had a chance to ask her. But a video clip was of her performing at care homes. for the elderly, and it honestly really brought a lump to your throat seeing all those older people enjoying this music from Sasuke. It was amazing, really was amazing. So what I'll do now is I'll shut up, which everybody will be rejoicing probably at this point, but I'll play you now. This is Saskia Griffiths Moore, and this is her performing a track from one of her albums for our enjoyment. And this is Saskia Griffiths Moore. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
The song is called "We're Still Here," and I'll just let you take that to mean whatever you or anyone else wants that to mean for the moment. So it's not out yet, but it's kind of new, and it'll be coming out on the next record whenever that does come out. So. Simple times, chasing never-ending memories of what we leave behind. Every night, dancing with our shadows, playing with reflections of our time. But tell me now, do you find yourself in circles going around, wishing that you could still be with us when you're burning out? We're still here. Still in the past, when life drove you crazy, you'd be trying to be somewhere else. But with time, cherishing your freedom, finding there's no room for regret. But tell me now, do you find yourself in circles going around, wishing that you could still be with us when you're burning out? We're still still here. There's no secret, simple way. Open up and let it come to you. Memories you can't erase. When you need us, we will be with you. We're still here. We're still here. We're still
Wow. And what a wow that was. God, just gives me goosebumps just listening to it. So that's Saskia Griffiths Moore with her track We're Still Here. and absolutely wonderful song. And I'd like to thank Saskia for performing that. And if you want to see the full interview and with Saskia, as I say, it's the Passions Project on the YouTube channel. Okay, so I've got some news actually, and I've just been checking emails and such like, what's been coming in, and I have what in effect seemed to be a list of inspirational songs that people have put forward. So we're in the news. Okay, so here we have the songs. Easy for me to say, the inspirational songs that I've had so far. So I'm not going to put any. There's no judgment on these because obviously I won't know some of them or I won't have heard them for some time. But okay, let's go from the top. Okay, Tony, Survivor by Destiny's Child. Survivor sounds like an interesting one. Started from the Bottom by Drake is another one. I'm Still Standing by Elton John. Of course, it has to be, doesn't it? Must be an Elton John fan there. Shanona, so I guess Shanona's an Elton John fan. Stronger, What Doesn't Kill You, Kelly Clarkson. What I think I remember that one myself. What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. I'm assuming that one is. So that's absolutely fantastic. Then I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. And that's come from Jill. And I guess I Will Survive. There's probably a lot of people would be using I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. It is a popular song, isn't it? Oh, and it had to be on here. The next one is from John, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Because I should be doing this as a quiz, actually, shouldn't I? Who sang Eye of the Tiger? Actually, just give me an idea. Another show, I'm going to do a quiz. I'm going to do a quiz, intro quiz, like on the hits list. We like watching that on a Saturday, hits list. We have to name the song from the intro. Love that. Flawless by Beyonce. That's coming from Jemima. New York, New York from Frank Sinatra. That's from Brad. So I guess maybe Brad is from America, perhaps. So anyway, True Colors by Cyndi Lauper. Yep, that's an absolute cracker. I love that one. And and finally, here's one which I totally had on my list as well. And that's, but obviously I'm biased, but that's Heroes by David Bowie. I'm big fan of David Bowie. A lot of people who know me know that. And in Heroes is obviously a fantastic inspirational song. So thanks for those people so far. I'm hopefully going to get a lot more over the coming weeks before I launch this project. Inspirational songs. So if you've got any you want to mention, if you want to message me with any or pop any in the comments below, if you obviously you can, or you can email me on phil@geekygroup.com or message me on and any other ways you want to message me. I've just had a message actually on LinkedIn. No, it's not about that. I thought it might be about this, but it's not. It's another message. Okay, so those are the songs. Those are the songs I've got so far. So inspirational tunes that turn you on, switch you on, get you moving. And that's all linked to the project that I'm going to be undertaking fairly soon on the basis of I like to do new things. Nothing more complicated than that. Right. Okay. I think probably, what time are we on now? Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left, or just coming up to 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play another music track, so you're not listening to me droning on. And this music track, this is a song that, again, it came as a result of an interview that I did on Passions. And a few weeks ago, these guys actually did appear as well on a Friday live show. And the reason they've appeared on the live show is because I asked them, because I just love this band, and it makes me trendy because they're young guys. So it makes, and the fellow Mancunians, of course, which is another bias bit. But this is a favorite of mine, and this song really inspires me. And this song is by Rosellas. I always get in trouble for mispronouncing it, but Rosellas, I think it's called. They're called. And this song is one of my favorite songs. And I've tried to get Drew, the lead singer, to tell me about this song and what it means, but he's refused so far. So maybe I'll get there eventually. But this does inspire me. This is one of those songs, I said about if you're going for a walk and want some energy. I just love the vibe of it. And it sounds a bit trendy, doesn't it? The vibe of it. But I do actually love the vibe of it. And it just makes me cheers me up. I guess an inspiration, of course, can be very much about just cheering people up. So this song is called Damaged, and it's by my good friends, the amazing Rosellas. Enjoy.
2 years, no words, it never works. They said that it wouldn't hurt, but how would they know? Lost sight of a face that I used to know. I could pass you in the street tomorrow without a second thought. You can try to think of the good times, but when the good times are off, as common as the bad is worse. Drink all your problems away, they'll come back and find you another day. But it's never your fault, 'cause you can't stand you too. You're so wrong, you never wanted truth. While the boy's grown up and your heart's still shattered through, I guess I'm damaged too. See another ball to the dreary end, and come out all guns blazing through your head. She says, put your demons to bed. Give a speech on the world and what it owes you. Unrealized potential fills you when you're sober, if there's ever a day. You're so wrong, you never wanted truth. Well, the boy's grown up and your heart's still shattered through, I guess I'm damaged too. You're so wrong, you never wanted truth. Well, the boy's grown up and your heart's still shattered through, I guess I'm damaged too. You're no one, at least not to you. If you can't stand yourself, then there's no point trying, 'cause I can't stand you too. 'Cause I can't stand you too. too.
Oh, I love that track. Damaged by Rosellas. Check it out on Spotify. Okay, I've had a few more favorite inspirational music tracks. I'm just going to whiz through. Lose Yourself, Eminem. Don't know that because I don't, not great lover of rap, but whatever reason. Firework by Katy Perry. Yes, I absolutely do. I do love that. Express Yourself by Madonna from Dave. Stephen, Harder, Best, Faster, Stronger. Daft Punk. Don't know who that is, but I'll check it out. Oh, and here's one I really, really do love. Don't Give Up, Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush. That is a song I've used before in various inspirational situations, perhaps of the inspirational elements of the heart, perhaps in the past there. So that's it for those. And thanks very much indeed for joining me today on Friday Live. That's about it. We're just about up on our time. Appreciate those of you that have watched it live. Obviously, this will be available for you to watch on catch up, as they say. Sounds like BBC iPlayer, doesn't it? Catch up, you can watch it obviously on demand, I suppose you could say. It'll be available where I'm live streaming to now. It'll be available on LinkedIn, it'll be available on Facebook and my YouTube channel. And that's about it. So I guess I'm going to just finish off with, I suppose, I'm going to call it perhaps thought for the day, or video thought for the day, or live stream thought for the day. No, it's not that Friends is coming back. That's not the thought for the day. I mean, for those of you that are interested, another bit of news. News is thick and fast. Yeah, anyway, the Friends is coming back. Nobody knows about whether it's going to be in the UK, when it's going to be playing in the UK, but I think it's the 25th, 27th of May, something like that on HBO in America. But yeah, some of you might be inspired by that, might take you back down memory lane, a little bit of nostalgia. So no, the video thought for the day, or live stream thought for the day, is probably provided to you actually courtesy of a friend of mine. And I actually think that this guy I'm going to talk about for a second is probably one of the best live speakers I've ever seen. I'm privileged to have known him for a long time. I'm a big fan of his work. And the gentleman is by the name of Paul McGee. And some of you may have seen Paul live. And I'm sure if you have, you'll not have forgotten it. It's really, really great to watch him speak live, and I'm sure he'll be back on again soon over the next few months, as long as the Indian variant doesn't create any more havoc. Yeah, so Paul's written a number of books, but one of the books he wrote, one of his, I guess, earlier books, was called Sumo, Shut Up and Move On. And Paul talks about, and he talks about, and he says, remember the beach ball. And I love this concept because I'm a great believer in it, and I think it's very true. And it's more true now, ironically, than it's ever been. And in essence, and I'm probably not doing it justice, and I apologize to Paul if I'm not doing it justice, but the very basics of it is that if you look at a beach ball, if I'm on one side of the beach ball, I'll swear that beach ball is yellow, pink, and green. But somebody who's looking at the same beach ball on the other side will swear that it's red, pink, and indigo. So we're looking at the same ball, but we swear that the colors are different because we're looking at it from a different side. And I think it's very, very true in this divisive world that we live in, where it's all, everybody seems to be talking about taking sides. Are you on the Brexit side, or are you on the Remain side? Are you on Conservative side? Are you on the Labour side? You know, are you on the lockdown is great side, or are you on the, for God's sake, give us our liberty back side, and everything in between? And it's really quite bad, and the vilification it's creating, and the trolling, and the frankly the viciousness that it seems to be creating on social media in particular. And there's a lot of things that are great about social media, but the downside is definitely how it creates the opportunity for people who with a negative thing or self lacking in confidence or their own belief, wanting to bring others down to their level and all that stuff. I think it's very true. So I would encourage you to, if you would, I'd encourage you to think about the beach ball next time you're feeling that anger building up, and just try and remember. And I have to remind myself of this all the time. Listen, trust me, I'm not the angel Gabriel or whatever, as a number of you'll know, but I have to remind myself of this all the time, that somebody will see a different perspective if they're on the other side of the beach ball. And the other side of the beach ball, at the heart of it, is actually driven by our experiences and our perspective, the lens that we're looking through. So that's my video thought for the day. Remember the beach ball. So when you're entering into a debate, or you're getting a bit heated, or you're getting a bit stronger in your argument, maybe just try to put yourself in the shoes of the person that's the other side of the beach ball, who's seeing different colors for all the different reasons: upbringing, experience, DNA, a million different reasons. So that's it really. So I'm going to finish now, and thank you, Spencer, my partner in crime in the Passions Project, doing some great things, got some really cracking stuff coming along. I knew that Spencer was born to run Springsteen. If I Can Dream, Elvis, The Last Resort, The Eagles, all inspired to take action and take control and make the change. And I honestly did not get him to do that. He's done that on his own accord, which I'm very impressed with, Spencer, I have to say. Muscle tough. That's all I can say. Thanks for that. And I knew it'd be Springsteen, because Springsteen is definitely one of Spencer's favorites. So that's it for Friday Live. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you've picked up something from that. Hopefully you've enjoyed the tunes. If you've been listening and not watching, obviously that's absolutely fine. But hopefully you've enjoyed some of the tunes. And thanks to Rosellas, to Saskia, to Tom Seals for letting me utilize their content. And thank you for tuning in live. And if you're watching this, as I say, on catch up or recorded, then I hope you've enjoyed it too. And in the meantime, as I said, please, if you have got some inspirational tracks, and Spencer's obviously given me a few there to add to the list, then please do send them over on social media or on email, or any other way that you want to communicate with me in this highly connected world. So that's the end of Friday Live today, the 14th of May. Have a great weekend. Weather's not going to be great, but have a great weekend anyway, and enjoy it. And hopefully, fingers crossed, by the time that I see you again in a week's time, life will be returning a little bit more to back to normal. Ears open. Catch you soon, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I'm Phil Crowshaw, and bye for now.